Q102's Brian Douglas. We're here at a very secret rehearsal space where we're getting ready to go talk to the choreographer for the show Once, which is going to be part of the Broadway and Cincinnati series. It's going to be an amazing season. The Lion King, Cinderella, a bunch of great shows, including the show that he choreographed here on Broadway called Once.
Your mind's made up. When your mind's made up.
The process for working on a show like Once, which is award-winning, right?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What's the process of putting a show like that together on your end?
I found it very easy to know what it wasn't going to be and what it shouldn't be, and I think Once is a very precise because it's a pre-existing piece of art. It was that phenomenal movie. Mm-hmm. So you have a palette to work from, but you also have something that you know it can't be. So it's a cinematic piece. Mm-hmm. Parts of that were absolutely cinematic and wouldn't work on stage. Also, if you bring the idea of choreography to a certain piece of work, it doesn't fit everywhere. So I spent a lot of time telling John Tiffany, who's the director, but also we were at school together, so I've known him for a long time. But I spent most of my first few weeks telling him, almost backing myself out of the job, saying that I wouldn't choreograph this, and I don't think I should choreograph that number, and this song doesn't deserve choreography, and this one would ruin choreography, and so there was a lot of time. We spent a lot of time talking about the qualities of the show, and just it makes you realise just how delicate that piece is. And then Enda created this incredible script, which was then very robust. Mm-hmm. So then we had something to start to work with, which I felt much happier about. Because the film is so delicate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now, did Glenn have any input in the...
Yeah.
Did he have some input into the...
That was really smart. Glenn and Marketa, first of all, they were on tour. The Swell season, there was that big tour they did, which they filmed. That was happening when we were rehearsing. Mm. And so Glenn came and actually saw a version up in Boston. It was the first time he saw it.
Was that nerve-wracking for you or pressure?
Terrifying for everyone.
Everyone wondered, okay.
Because you're selling the product back to the person that made it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess, but then there's a whole room full of us that are nervous. So the musicians were incredibly, the performers were incredibly nervous. Mm-hmm. Martin, the musical arranger, he said that he wasn't nervous, but he absolutely was. So all of us were. And it's that great thing when Glenn and Marketa, they both knew what it was, as in it wasn't a film anymore, and it wasn't an album, it was a piece of theatre with a longer storyline. Our show lasts longer than the film. There's characters that reappear and all that kind of stuff. So it takes the film and it kind of it expands the film rather than makes it smaller, which doesn't happen very often. Right. Normally with a movie you have to make it smaller because theatre can't achieve what it does, but the source material being so simplistic, we actually had to make certain things work better on stage, or bigger on stage. So they were great, and they really got it, the choices that had been made, nice. and gave fantastic notes. And then Glenn had the massive jam session with the company, and and it was beautiful. It was just absolutely beautiful.
He's a sweet guy too. On top of that,
yeah.
When you were in rehearsals or coming up and with the ideas for what you do with that show, any idea it ended up being just as big and award-winning on your end and on its end?
No. I would absolutely, and that's an easy thing to say. People say that a lot, but if you think we were making it in a church basement in Boston, in the middle of a town that I didn't know anybody there. I knew the company, and that was it. It was we were very focused and very precise, and also I think if I think about what was happening. We didn't even know we were going to be on Broadway. We didn't even know we were going to New York Theatre Workshop at this time. What we did know was that there was this big production called Spider-Man that was just opening. So in terms of where I think we fitted in, there wasn't anywhere for us because this city was obsessed with big, massive shows, and it felt like that was how theatre was being made at that time. And we were this kind of little kind of beige folk thing, with some Irish people and some Czech people. So we definitely felt counter to what was going on. So I think if we knew anything, it was that we weren't doing that kind of work, and it was small, and it was necessarily small. So that was the thing for us. We in some ways we were protecting the right to make something small and inclusive and like an embrace around its audience, rather than a kind of like throwing you up against the wall.